Everyone has a good story to tell, and you know it's good when the person leans in and says, "See, what had happened was," and then they tell their story. Well, this podcast provides just those opportunities to tell those types of stories. The stories will be the good, the bad, and everything in between.
We wanted to do this podcast to showcase stories in education and give flowers to educators who deserve it, even though they may never get an award for their excellence.
Our guests will feature parents, students, teachers, administrators, just about anyone who is involved in education. These stories will inspire you, challenge you, and help you to reflect on your practice of education, whether it be from inside the classroom or out.
If you have a good story to tell, we'd love to hear it. Email us at contact@andredowdy.org. We'd love to have you or your story on a future episode. See What Had Happened starts now.
Hi, and welcome to the second episode of See
You sound trouble.
What Had Happened. We are so glad that you are here with us today. And what we're going to do is just share some stories. That's what See What Had Happened is all about. We're sharing stories from an educational perspective because this is an educational podcast. If you don't know who we are, we told you a lot about us in episode 1, but just in case you're joining with us today, thank you for joining. We really, truly appreciate it. First, my name is Andre Daughty, and
I am Danielle Daughty.
she is considered my queen. So if you ever hear me say the queen, this is the queen I'm talking about right here. She is phenomenal. And I'm going to share a little bit about who she is, and she's going to share a little about who I am. So this is the teacher of the year at an elementary school in Oklahoma City. I love her with everything that I have because she is a phenomenal second grade teacher. She's been in education for 7 years. And when I tell you differentiation is inside of a classroom and she has those centers popping, oh, I mean it. She is a phenomenal educator. I know I've said that, I keep saying it. Like, she could really be a national teacher of the year. Just a lot of people don't know who she is because she don't really care about them awards. So Danielle England Doughty is not only my woman, she is a phenomenal second grade teacher.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this young hot cutie over here, Mr. Doughty, has been in education, oh my goodness, for 20 plus years. I mean, he is a guru, a genius. He is excellent at his craft. Listen, whatever you do, book him. He knows what he's talking about. He is a phenomenal educator. And, that's one of the many reasons why I married him.
Aww. So now we both gasped. We are both excited. The way this goes is really simple. We're going to share a story with you. We'll kind of do like a reflective piece within it. And then we're out of here. And so in episode 1, I shared a story with you. And so this is episode 2. So someone else has a story. Over the year, we'll have special guests, whether they be teachers, whether they be students, whether they be parents, administrators, anybody in education who has a story to tell in education. And the cool part about this is everybody has a story, whether it be the good, the bad, or in between.
I'm glad you didn't say ugly.
Yeah, because there are some times that, education is
in between.
In between. Now, before we jump into the story, we got to set this thing up. So let's start. What grade did you teach?
Second.
Okay.
That's all I've ever taught.
Awesome. So this is the second grade. And what year in education were you in this?
This is my very first year of teaching.
So that entry year, just like that first episode, entry years, was something else. Lots of stories there.
Lots of stories.
Anything else you want to share before you jump into the story?
Nope. Let me just tell the story.
Okay. What happened?
How I made it over. See, what had happened it was all giggles and smiles and rainbows and sunshine because it's my very first year. I had 19 students in the class.
That is a good number.
It is.
Anything under 20 is always a good number.
It is. And, we were on my first day of school and getting to know the students and their personalities. Everybody was all happy-go-lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Had a great first day. About a week into the school year, we were doing a unit on the solar system. So I had this one student, we'll call him John.
Okay, John, and pause. Anytime we share a story, we always keep the student or the parent or the family. We'll give them an alias to keep them private. We don't want their business out in the street, but the stories are still compelling. So here we go. We got John. All
That's
right.
So we were doing a unit on the solar system.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular day, we were studying the moon phases. And so I thought, oh, what a wonderful way to teach moon phases by using Oreo cookies. So I set it up and I said, okay, students, we're going to learn about the moon phases, but here's the caveat. You cannot eat the cookies until we have created all of the moon phases. And of course, they were like, oh, okay. So we learned about the moon phases and we carved out the different phases of the Oreo cookies. Well, one of the students, John is his name, he decided he wanted to eat the Oreo cookies. And I said, John, you agreed that we weren't going to eat the Oreo cookies until we finished the moon phases.
The procedures.
Oh, that set him off. He tore up my room. I have never seen such.
Some Oreos?
Yes, it was bad. I mean, throwing tables, throwing chairs. And all of my students were like in awe because of I'm in awe myself, and I'm like, what in the
whole world?
Entire world is this dude doing to my class? So, of course, me being a brand new teacher, I just said, let me buzz the office. So I'm buzzing the office. Help, help, I need an administrator. I need an administrator. Now, God bless our wonderful office staff.
Right.
I'm just like, don't ask me any questions. You just send the people who need to come here because he's tearing our room. They want to ask me questions like I'm in an interview. Well, what's going on?
Are you in an interview?
Yeah,
what's your social security number? In the meantime, John is still terrorizing?
Tearing the entire class up.
What were some of the things he was doing? You said he was flipping over tables and throwing chairs.
Throwing pencils, throwing center items. Just, I mean, literally tearing my classroom up. Now, I'm from the old school. Because I'm like, if you're going to tear it up, you're going to clean it up.
Right.
I could not, in my mind, understand why I have spent all this money.
Yes.
I spent all this money, honey.
Yes. Because you once again, entry year teachers, our classrooms are bare and we got to set it up right. So you got to spend the money to get the billboards and the poster boards and the centers and the tables and the pencils and the crayons. And he like breaking them and all that?
And everything off the walls. Over the Oreos.
Did he eat more Oreos? Or
were they all Oreos gone? Was out the window at this point.
Oh, wow.
In my head, I was just like, he's tearing up my room because he didn't want to adhere to his own word that he wouldn't eat the cookies until we were finished.
Right.
I mean, we were like literally almost finished with it. And
what happened to the students in the class? Were they still in there when he was throwing tables and chairs?
Yes.
Did they get hit?
A couple of them did. A couple of them did. See, what I did not know was this was behavior that John had done in previous years. So I did have a couple of students in the class who just knew that this is what he did. So, they were just like, hey, that's what he's doing. But I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's something important, you know, you didn't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, the administrators, two of them, came to the classroom, and I did not put my hands on him, but they got him out, and they told all of us to leave because I did not know the procedure then was to get out the classroom. I'm just like, I'm trying to protect my stuff and my students, so I didn't know we had to leave the classroom. So that leads me to this is not the very first or the last time that he had this kind of outburst in my class. So the next time he did it, I just told the kids, I believe it was that afternoon because we had like a come to Jesus meeting. And I said, listen, guys, that's exactly when I found out one of the students was like, yeah, you did that in kindergarten. I was like, oh. I said, well, if this happens again, this is what we're going to do, guys. We're just going to let him tear up the room, and we're going to go out in the hallway, and then we'll let the principal and assistant principal come in and deal with
and handle that.
Yeah.
How many times in that year do you think he terrorized your room?
4 or 5.
Oh my goodness. And in that one, like I'm imagining like a Tasmanian devil. I hate to say it that way. But just going through and just making that tornado and every little thing. Yeah. Did he get to your teacher area?
No.
Okay. That's a good thing at least. Because your teacher area is where your purse is and some of your other belongings and needs.
Oh, that's all. That was always all hidden away.
Oh, okay.
I was more shocked at how this little person could lift desks and chairs and hurl them.
And hurl them.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you got like technology in your room, smart board, projector boards, things like that. Did he damage that?
No.
Okay. So at least in his episode or his tantrum, he had some self-control to say, I'm gonna throw and tear up all this stuff, but I'm just not gonna mess up this projector or this smart board.
Yeah.
At the end of his tantrum, how did he calm down? Did he calm down, or was he still aggressive when the principal and administrator took him out?
The administrator sent us out into the hallway. I don't know what they did in there. So I didn't want to sit by the door and have the kids still listening to it. So we just took a little field trip around the school.
Yeah. Did he clean up?
Yes. That was one of his punishments. He had to clean up.
And what about the other times that he had the episodes? Was that the same thing where he had to clean up afterwards?
Yes.
Okay.
One time in particular, I remember, we had like a safe place spot in our room, and one of the items was a mirror where, you know, they could look at themselves and see, hey, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling happy, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So he hurled this mirror, and it was glass everywhere. And so at that point, let me go back. The first time I communicated with mom, and you know, she lived close by, not live, but she worked close by. So she was able to come to the school and calm him down. I did think it was the end of that, but it was not. So the second time he did it and he broke the glass, I called mom and she came up there and she had him clean up the glass and everything. And she had him write me an apology note and all that. It was like when he got out of that headspace, he was fine, but there was something that just triggered where he just, tore everything up. So,
did you see any warning signs before then? Like first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks inside of school, he was just like your typical second grade kid.
Yes.
And then the switch flipped.
Yes. It was pretty wild.
So now, because I have so many questions now with John.
Okay.
I'm sure entry year teacher, here's my discipline plan. We're changing popsicle sticks, whatever it may be. I'm guessing he was under the red, like he's under. Did John get suspended?
I have let me be clear.
Okay.
I have never done the color changes. I'm not that type of. I don't have that type of discipline plan. I never have. But was he suspended? I think he was suspended once, maybe. I think after that, they realized that, I don't know, there was more to it.
More to it.
Yeah.
So what was the more to it?
I might say the third time he tore my class, mom messaged me and told me that she was going to be taking him to the doctor. And after a few weeks, she messaged me again and told me that he had a tumor behind his eye. And so the doctors thought that that may be the reasoning behind why what was setting him off, one of the causes for him to go off.
So at the beginning of the school year, did you like see something with his eye? Was it noticeable from the outside, or was like anything like that?
It wasn't like too dramatic, but I did notice that like one of his eyes were bigger than the other, but you know, I didn't really think anything of it.
So now this gets tricky there, because
yes.
One minute you just think he's just a normal, per se, kid terrorizing your classroom, and then the second moment it's got something to do with a tumor and cancer.
Yes.
So how did you feel about that?
Awful. Heartstrings were definitely pulled. It was almost like, okay, now I understand why he's tearing up my classroom. Does it make it right? No, but I can see why, he's doing what he's doing. I had to execute a little bit more patience with him because I was not patient. I was just like, why are you tearing up this room?
Right.
Why are you hurting these kids?
Right.
But
after that empathy really comes into play. Mm-hmm. Like you see the root of the problem, just the symptoms. Mm-hmm. So did his behavior get better? Like, without going too deep into the HIPAA, like, do you know any outcomes of the story of John?
That year, I know that he didn't have like any surgeries or anything like that. I believe later into his elementary years, he had surgery. But the sweet thing is, or the resilient thing about kids is, he would come to my classroom and visit me. He'd always be like, "Hey, Mrs. Daughty." His mom would always be in contact with me. So that was a plus. But after he left our school, I didn't have any more contact regarding his situation.
It's one thing. My heartstrings got pulled there, because one minute you're thinking the kid is just bad, and the kid is terrorizing all of the stuff, Yeah. And then the next minute you realize that there was some condition that triggered those episodes. So you end up sympathizing with mom and with John a little bit more. Okay, so that was heavy. I was not anticipating that story. I forgot about that story of John. That is a heavy story. So what advice would you give that first year teacher who is inside of that classroom and has a student like John with episodes like that?
Right. The advice, you just have to deal with it. Yeah. Your goal is to protect your students. Almost, it's like you're a mother, so you would protect your child before you protected yourself. Right. So
you gotta always protect the students at all costs. I love that you all just implemented the plan of, when he has these episodes, everybody, let's just get out the room. Let's go. Everybody out in the hallway, shut the door. And your classroom door was like this glass door that you could see inside, right? So you could kind of still keep an eye on John and making sure that he didn't hurt himself as well. So I love that was dope that you got all the kids out. Did he ever hit you? Oh, okay. He had enough self-control. He was like, "Hey, wait a minute. Yeah. We not hitting no teachers." She looked like she looked like she hit back. You always got to protect yourself. And, right. They, of course, in teacher school, they teach you how to guard the students and hold their arms and use your leg to guard the leg so they don't kick or punch or bite or and all those things like that. Could there be anything done differently, you think, in this situation? Yeah.
On whose part? My part?
Yeah, on your part.
I think, again, just having a little bit more patience.
Yeah.
But other than that, that is just something, that's an experience that you just have to go through.
And it was all over a cookie.
The first,
phases
the first
of the move,
time,
yeah.
The first time, yes.
Just the smallest thing triggered,
Yes.
and you had never seen that before.
No.
That is such a great story.
I'll never look at an Oreo the same way.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at an Oreo the same way ever since.
Yeah. And every time you look at an Oreo, you're gonna be like, man, John.
Man.
Come on, John.
Let me tell you.
If you would like to sponsor any of these episodes, please email us at contact@andredoughty.org. Now it's time for Sprout Outs. Danielle, who are you sprouting out this episode?
Today I am sprouting out Mr. Willard C. Pitts.
Okay.
A fine professor from the Langston University's School of Broadcast Journalism. Mr. Pitts has passed away, but his influence has remained in my spirit. Mr. Pitts was a no-nonsense, tell it like it is kind of guy.
Really?
Yes. He offered the best advice. He taught you about life, and you are not going to take any shortcuts. So, and he always had a quote. You want to know the quote? One of the quotes.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
That has stuck with me. Winners win and losers lose. Each finds a way to do what they do. Mr. Pitts.
And so Mr. Pitts,
well, sir.
You said he was firm, but like fair. Can you give an example of like how firm he was? Was it like firm in attendance, firm in like the level of work? Like, did he push you mentally? Is that what the firm came in?
Firm in that you are not going to turn in, for lack of a better word, crap.
Okay.
I remember we had a deadline every week for the newspaper, and we had to come up with these news ideas for news stories. And I mean, I could not come up with one. I mean, there was nothing really happening on campus. And so I was like, I'll do a story about daylight saving time. And I wrote this article and submitted it. And he was like, England, what is this? I was just saying, it's a story about daylight saving time. And he was like, this is some crap. Don't you ever turn anything like this again. You can do better. Man.
And so, of course, now I'm only making that connection of now that you are the teacher, now that you are the Mr. Pitts in your second grade, you're holding your students to that same accountability?
Oh, absolutely.
Sprout out to Mr. Pitts. Rest well, sir.
Yes.
Until we all see you again, man.
When one wins, we all win. How can you help us win? Like and subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel @AndreDoughty. If you have a story you would like to share for any future episodes, you can email us at contact@andredoughty.org. Well, that's the end of this episode. Don't forget to join us for the next episode of
See What Happened.